Back with you, the ML Sports Platter, all brought to you by Bryant and Stratton College, Empower Federal Credit Union, and our great friends at Rosie's Corner. If you're in and around Central New York, you got to get to Rosie's right in front of the Brewerton Bridge, Route 11 in Brewerton. They've got the pizza, the pasta, the hot and cold subs. They will deliver as well, and they're available on Grubhub. Make sure you look out for their themed food days like Taco Tuesday, as we record this today. Pork Wednesdays, Fish Friday, you name it. Jason Jody and the gang doing a great job. Rosie's Corner is the official ice cream, pizza, and wing shop of the ML Sports Platter. I was actually there last night for their Monday cruise night. A lot of the classic cars were out. People were eating. People were, having a great time. They had live music, an Elvis impersonator. It was a fantastic time at Rosie's Corner. So here we are on August 6th, and I know I just did one of these, I don't know, it was probably a couple weeks ago, MLB Power Rankings. I usually do, I don't know, during the season, probably going to do several of these things through the season, and especially now to the end. There's going to be a lot more coming. And there's just things every week in the baseball season. Things change. I don't think there's any question about that. And I think some certain things have changed, this past week, which kind of gets you into a spot where you're kind of looking at like, okay, how do we kind of value teams? Did anybody make moves? Again, the trade deadline impacted some things. So I'm going to go my typical 5-1, and I'm going to give you my top 5 teams right now in Major League Baseball. And it's hard because 4 and 5 are kind of like, man, I keep tossing back and forth, and now there's a lot of teams making pushes. But here we go. I'm going to go ahead and take at number 5, I'm going to take the Minnesota Twins. I can't ignore 70 wins at this point. As we record this around noontime on August 6th, they're still up. They have 70 wins. They're playing well. They've got a major offense. They've got pitching at the front line. They've got some major bats. I loved what they did in the offseason. This is a different team under Rocco Baldelli, man. This is a team that is much different than under Paul Molitor. They have a major culture change there, and I like the way the Minnesota Twins are doing this. So I'm going to put them at number 5. Again, I don't trust them in the playoffs, but we'll have to see what happens. My 4th best team, the Atlanta Braves, one of the most exciting teams in baseball. And again, as I do these power rankings, I'm only going to take about 15 minutes on this. It's amazing because Atlanta, I have them at number 4. Every single time I pop up and flip the TV on, they're doing something wildly exciting, and yet they're still way behind the Dodgers, who I, of course, will have at the top. Don't worry about that. And, and yet they're still pretty close to teams that I had to leave off. I left off the Cardinals. I left off the Brewers. I left off the Cubs. The 3 teams out of the NL Central, I think are all going to make the playoffs. I really believe that. So it's going to be a hell of a finish to the end, but every single time I flip on the Braves, and I know last night they lost on the Sano walk-off to the Twins, but every single time I flip them on, something great is happening, something amazing, something exciting, something flashy between Ozzie Albies and Ronald Acuna and Freddie Freeman and Austin Riley, another youngster, and Dansby Swanson. I know Riley's kind of tailed off a bit. The key for them, of course, is going to be 2 things, which is going to be the key for a lot of teams, which is starting pitching and bullpen. I think they have enough in the starting rotation to kind of get them by until the NLCS. Then it's going to be trouble because they're going to play the Dodgers most likely. The bullpen really worries me for Atlanta. I'm just not sure that they have enough back there. But the Atlanta Braves are wildly exciting. And frankly, if you took any young core of players, 25 and under, 23 and under even, if you had to compare, Cubs, because the Cubs still have a lot of young guys. They still have, Javi Baez is young, Schwarber is young, Rizzo is relatively young, Chris Bryant is relatively young, Almora Jr. is relatively young, Wilson Contreras is relatively young. They still have a lot of core dudes from that 2016 title team, but the Braves, man, they are really young, they are really good, and you might have to, if you if you made the argument for a group of young players 25 and under or even 23 and under, you might have to go Atlanta's way. I'm going to take the Yankees at number 3. I, again, still don't think that they have enough pitching. I think that I think when you look at the Yankees, they're obviously a really great regular season team. I think when you look at what they have going, I think that the reality is I'm hoping that the pitching can hold out and do enough as a Yankee fan. Brian Cashman didn't do a lot at the deadline. Brian Cashman feels that his people inside the clubhouse are the answers. He feels that guys coming back to the lineup, Betances also in the bullpen, Severino in the rotation. Gary Sanchez is having a couple of rehab games against Scranton. I believe they're playing Durham this week in those games. They're expecting him to be back to play Toronto this weekend. He feels that the guys who are going to help him are right in the room. Time will tell. Also, the guys playing currently have to be better. There's a lot of guys on the Yankees who have to be better. Now, I'm not talking about Gio Urshela and Didi Gregorius and Gleyber Torres and Aaron Judge and Austin Romine. Those guys have all been fine. Brett Gardner's done enough, I suppose. He played a ball off the wall poorly the other night, last night in Baltimore. He's had a couple of bad moments, but he's had a lot of good moments, and he's still got wheels, so he's a threat on the bases. DJ LeMahieu's been the team MVP. Not talking about those guys. I'm talking about James Paxton. I'm talking about Jay Happ, who had a good start against Boston, but he's got to keep it going. He's got to be consistent. If they still trust CC Sabathia, which apparently they do, he's got to be a little bit better. Masahiro Tanaka's got to be a lot better. So they're hoping that all those guys are better. That's the flat-out truth. My number 2 team is the Houston Astros, and it's very simple. It's very simple. And, I think with Houston, I think the clubhouse has all of what you want in Major League Baseball. I think the front office has that. I think Jeff Lundhouse is the best GM in baseball right now. And they went out and added Zach Greinke. Now, Yankee fans were irate. I don't understand why. He had a no-trade clause to New York. He's never wanted to pitch for the Yankees. And he never wanted to pitch for him before, and he sure as hell doesn't now, and he has a no-trade clause, so give me a break. So that is something that you have to first look at. The second thing that's very important to look at with Houston is, like the Dodgers at number 1, I just gave you my 2 and my 1, they are both teams that can just destroy you in so many different ways. They can win a game 8-5 if they have a bad start from Wade Miley. They can win a game 1-0 with Justin Verlander or Garrett Cole. Now Zach Greinke is in the rotation. They've got this Kyrdos kid, this youngster, playing for them now. They've got him in the rotation. They can win a bullpen battle if they need to. Their bullpen is a lot better than people think. And now I just think that, Houston, it's going to be awfully tough to knock Houston out of the playoffs with the team that they have right now. Man alive, I am telling you, that team is really, really, really good. They added Biagini. I don't know how you pronounce that, but he's a relief pitcher. They also added him at the deadline. Aaron Sanchez is going to he's going to be a huge addition too. See, that's the thing. Zach Greinke got all the headlines, but Houston also added those 2 guys at the deadline. And then you take their lineup, and it's just, it is just unbelievable. Carlos Correa, Alex Bregman, Jose Altuve, Springer. They're unbelievable, and I don't believe that the Astros will keep around for the most part, and I said that about just a minute ago or so. But this young kid, and I'm sorry, I always say Arquitos, but it's not. It's Jose Urquidy. The Round Rock Express is the AAA team of the Houston Astros, and Jose Urquidy was sent down just 4 days ago. And it's very simple why, because they have Zach Greinke and they have Aaron Sanchez. So now what they're going to be able to do, and you've already seen reaping the benefits of both these guys just from a clubhouse standpoint, people being excited, what the Astros pitching coaches can do with these guys. You've got a rotation now here, folks, of Justin Verlander, Garrett Cole, Zach Greinke, Wade Miley, and Aaron Sanchez. You can go right through and just dominate a series. These guys are so hard to beat in a 7-game series because they're rolling out pitching left and right. So that's what I've got. I've got LA at the top. They're too balanced. They're too good. They win every night. Walk-off fashion. If Jock Peterson doesn't hurt you, Max Muncy does. If they don't hurt you, Bellinger does. If Bellinger doesn't, Justin Turner does. If all those guys don't hurt you, Seager does. It's ridiculous. They have 3 frontline rotation guys, Ryu, Kershaw, and Buehler. Their bullpen is the problem. Their bullpen is a shit show. They didn't do enough at the deadline, in my opinion. So we'll see if they're gonna have enough to win a World Series at the back end. They're gonna need their guys to go 7 innings. That's really what it boils down to. But they're still, to me, the best team in baseball. They're winning 110 games. I got LA, Houston, Yankees, Braves, and Twins. 1 through 5 is my MLB power rankings for Tuesday, August 6th. Thanks for listening to the ML Sports Platter, and I'll tell you what, it's been a real blast. We're coming up here on, I added it up the other night, November until December, January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August. I'm coming up here on 4, 9. I'm coming up on 21 months since I left radio, and I miss radio. I love radio. I still want to do radio someday again. It's going to be a challenge because of where I live and the fact that I can't move, but maybe I'll be able to squeak in somewhere somehow. Things change, who knows? But this has been fun, and the podcast has been great. I hope that you don't think that I've missed a beat getting guests and trying to provide content, because modern media and this sort of thing is a lot like, radio and traditional media, where you're doing shows and getting guests and talking to people and scoring interviews. So it's been a lot of fun. You can also download the ML Sports Platter podcast all over the major platforms like Spotify, Google Podcasts, and Apple Podcasts, as well as Stitcher, the Podbean app, YouTube, and Tumblr. You can access it there as well. Make sure that you hit me on Twitter at Mike L Sports, and also on Instagram, Mike L Sports 1979. We are presented by Bradley's Jewelers. Log on to bradleysjewelers.com. Shop the showcase at Bradley's. They've got a lot of great stuff, man. Engagement rings, wedding rings, pendants, watches, you name it, earrings. Bradley's Jewelers is the official jewelry store of the ML Sports Platter. Brad and the gang doing an awesome job down there. Also, a big tip of the cap, thank you to Hides of Liverpool, Bryant and Stratton College, and James Fiorentino. Log on to jamesfiorentino.com. That's James, Fiorentino. James Fiorentino is the official artist of the ML Sports Platter and PinstripePassion.com. Check out his watercolor portraits. Phenomenal. From baseball to American history to football, basketball, he's got it all going on. He was just in Saratoga doing some great stuff with the Ortiz brothers, the terrific jockeys. So go to jamesfiorentino.com and pick up some of his artwork. As I always tell you, enjoy the games.